Half time.
You're not on, but it could be fun.
As long as they're not tight to the glass, that's okay. Perhaps you can ask that gentleman to move his feet back a bit over there.
Gotta eat, right? Gotta eat. Come on. Gotta be food. Thanks, Stevie. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Time.
You're all set to go?
Good, thank you.
Play will commence in 30 seconds.
That's your cue. Ready? I'm going to you guys. 2 seconds.
Well, Danielle, we're getting ready for
15
the
seconds.
men's final now. Nick Sachvie against Shawn Delierre. If it lives up to him, it's a lot to live up to after that final between Holly and Sam.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it was such a high-quality match, and then this one I think will be very interesting.
Welcome to
Do
the
you know what
2019
how much
Canadian
they've played or
Squash
the last result
Championships,
they've had? Or?
presented by
I
Downtown
don't know the
Auto
head-to-heads.
Group.
I mean, I know it's pretty tight. Shawn's
This is
obviously
the
been around a
men's
lot
open
longer than
final
Nick.
match.
But Nick, obviously, the last
Shawn
couple of years,
Delierre
he's
of
2 times
Quebec
national
to
champion.
serve.
Nick.
Nick Sachvie of
Shawn,
Ontario
multiple
to
times national
receive.
champion. I don't know how many times, but I mean, obviously they've had their matches. I mean, the guys, as the girls are. The guys are so tight.
Best of
I mean,
5
all of them,
games.
Mike and Nick and Andrew and now David
Love
and even
all.
Cam's coming up and Shawn. I mean, the guys are very, very tight. So it's difficult to choose from. It's difficult to pick a winner here.
Yeah, they've had a lot of really good matches this tournament, though I would say Nick's had a bit more of a decisive route to the final. He won his first match in 3 against, I forget who he played in his first round, but then he beat Graham Schnell in 3. And then he beat Mike in 4, whereas Shawn had a battle against Cam Seth going 5 games.
One
and
love.
then he had another match against Andrew yesterday that went 4. So we'll see how his body holds up. I think he's been very good this tournament and takes care of himself, but you never know.
I mean, Shawn's so efficient and so experienced. I mean,
Yes,
he kind of lives for this in some way, doesn't he? I mean, this is
One
what
love.
he's good at, and he's so committed. I mean, unbelievably committed athlete, which has just been awesome for Canadian squash, and interesting guy as well. I mean, just a quirky, fun, nice, talented guy, and it's just great to have him around. But he's been, I mean, just a real character for squash in Canada.
Yeah, no, he's really great for the sport, and he's obviously doing some coaching now, and I think he has so much energy that he really makes squash fun. It's really entertaining to watch his matches. Always animated.
Handout. 1-all.
They both get pretty animated too, because Nick can get pretty fired up, and I think it's going to be a really entertaining, fun match.
It's interesting. I mean, I think Nick, when he's playing well, when he's firing all cylinders, I mean, I would say his A game is probably the best in Canada for the men right now. But he also tends to have
Delierre, I need you
brain
to play those
farts
balls
every
in
now and
future.
again, for
No
want of a
let.
better expression, and he just kind of is his own worst
Ball was
enemy a lot of the
available to you,
time,
the
you
front
know.
ball was
And it's
available. He's moved
either
away.
because he doesn't change
No
his
let.
game, he keeps on beating his head against a
He
brick
moved
wall when
away.
things
That
are
was
not
wide
going
up.
well, you know, or just tends to take a lot of mistakes in a row. But when his head's in the right,
2-1.
you know, the right gear and he's playing well, then you know, it does it incredibly hard to break down.
Yeah, and the thing is, when he's feeling good, like physically, he is so confident. I think that's one of the main things that make him feel good on court, is when he feels like his body's cooperating. And I mean, from talking to him this week, sounds like he's been feeling good and is confident. So if he plays the way he can, then I think I would say he'll win today. But it just depends on how he keeps his head mentally, and then also he knows what Shawn will pull out and do.
Handout.
He's one of those people who can
2-all.
kind of break you mentally, and who can kind of get in your head and get in your way a bit. So it's tough.
Right, and Nick will know that going in. I mean, obviously at the start of this game, both guys just trying to feel comfortable, trying to find their length, trying to, you know, just feel out the other player a little bit, feel out how they're, you know, going short, going long, trying out a few different things.
I think one thing too is, even if you hit
out.
decent shots against Shawn, like decent length, he's really good at hitting
3-2.
behind himself and then maintaining control of the tee. So I think it'll be important for Nick to really push Shawn into the corners, really gas him physically, so then he can expose and like hit his shots. But if you hit anything loose, like we just saw there, Shawn's able to take his space,
Handout.
really set up and
3-all.
push you out of the way.
So notice yesterday, Nick against Mike McHugh. I mean, Mike has actually improved a lot over this last year. Added a lot more variety to his game. You know, it had some very good results, but he was 1-love, and he was up in the second game against Nick, and that was going to be interesting. I mean, if Nick went 2-love down, it was going to be a tough one to get through Mike. But eventually he did. He just kind of got it together at the right time, got that second game, and then kind of, you know, proceeded on from there. Took advantage of Mike's movement a little bit.
Yeah, I think Nick stepped it up, but I also feel like it wasn't Mike's best tournament this week, and I've seen him play before where he's been moving well, hitting his shots, and it wasn't completely there. But you know, it all depends on the day, and the fact that Nick was able to take advantage of maybe some of Mike's movement or maybe some of his nerves going into this tournament. Obviously, for the men, there's a lot riding on this event with Pan-Ams coming up this summer, and so you never know how much those nerves play into their performances and the pressure.
Well, that was good. That's something
And
that a
out.
lot of the guys can learn from. Just
4-all.
Shawn moving in at the front left corner, really worked himself around the ball, gave himself that straight drop, straight drive option, and then just picked off a really simple, low-risk winner.
One thing Shawn's so good at is he really uses his wrist and like kind of forearm to hit the shots really hard and kind of have that deception. You can't really tell with his body because he keeps it very upright, so he's pretty deceptive in that way.
Yes, let.
Oh, that was the best rally of the game so far.
4-all from
Both
the right.
players testing each
Shawn
other, and the ball
serving.
keep
Yes, let.
ball will keep coming back for a long time.
Yeah, long rallies, long points. But there, the length was a lot better. It was all the way at the back, high quality. How would you say Shawn's movement and shots from the front are, in general?
I mean, I would say that, I mean, his backcourt game, I think, is probably the most variety of anyone. But I think he seems, you know, people think of him as being quite random, but his backcourt variety and quality is probably as good as anyone's. I think that his front court is good. I wouldn't say his drop shot, even though that was a lovely shot. That's not his strength.
Always good.
He's very deceptive from the front corner, so he's got that straight and cross and maybe a little bit of a
Hand
trickle.
out.
Both the drop tends not to be his
5-4.
best shot, but he's still deceptive. He still puts pressure. And the mid-court tends to be the area where he's weakest. You know, that's where he doesn't. He could exert pressure with the volley, but tends to want to stand off it and hold it, and take a bit more time with the ball, losing a bit of position. So he tends to exert pressure through deception and then counter-attack rather than just building that pressure successively from back all through the middle of the court and then into the front, being devastating. So it's an interesting style. It's a style that he's maximized over the last decade or so, and great to watch. I think he could still. I mean, I don't think you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't think he's going to change now. I don't think people want him to change. He's so entertaining. But I think he might have had a little bit more success if he had been able to be a bit more devastating from the middle to the front. Yeah.
So do you think for Nick to pull it out, it's better for him to attack or really push him to the front instead of trying to beat him in the back?
6-5.
He's not so strong there.
Interesting. I think Nick tends to want to hit through the court a lot. It's his strength and it's his weakness as well. Is that he can really put a lot of pressure. That kind of Jahangir, like hard drives. If he can get that ball down in the back corners, it puts anyone under pressure. It doesn't matter whether it's Shawn or anyone else. When he comes up against someone that is able to absorb that and then vary from there, he tends to not to vary himself. He tends to keep on trying to either hit through or go short from a bad position. And so I think in terms of length, I'd like to see Nick vary it as much as possible. I think he can use the front corners with Shawn as long as he feels physically good enough to get on to the next ball.
Yeah. I do think that is one thing he's really good at, though, is he's able to really
hand out,
search for that second ball. He
6-all.
loves balling. He's so good around the middle. So I think if he was able to move it well and hit a good attacking shot short and wait for the next ball to come back, he's really good on that volley.
Yeah.
Move Shawn a bit more to the back in front.
So he's got to get that loose shot first to bring Shawn in right enough. So he's kind of got to do that with his length. But I agree. I mean, that's one of Nick's strengths, isn't it? It's just kind of like punching and then looking for that next ball.
Yeah.
out,
There's some good length there.
7-6.
Back and forth points, though. There's no real swing in the momentum between the both of them.
Oh, nice combination from Shawn. Front left, gets his volley, hits that down length. I mean, that's
7-all.
Just great experience. Again, a little bit, we're talking about Holly, her composure on the loose balls, and that. I mean, Shawn is just so composed on the loose shots as well, and just focuses on the quality of the shot like that.
Yeah, and I think with his game too, he's always so relaxed. You never really see him get too tense, so it makes his shots more effective because he's always able to swing through. His errors are low, and he just takes his time.
Stroke to Sachvie. Hand out, 8-7.
Oh, it was a nice shot from Nick into the front corners. We see Shawn, as you were talking about, Danielle, just a little bit upright. You know, it doesn't get down and really counter-attack into the same corner. He wants to hit out a little bit, give away the stroke.
there, Nick, in the last 2 rallies, has put really good pressure on Shawn, really making him reach for the ball.
9-7.
Because when he's up and he's able to set up, he's so good. Kind of like the same with Holly, but you get him reaching, and it creates so many more opportunities that Nick can then hunt down.
Well, it's Nick with his nose in front. This first game, 9-7.
Yes, let. Left box. 9-7.
Give me a beer, I'll do commentary for free and get a new job. 'Nice
Well, that's exactly what you were saying, Danielle. Just if Nick can get you under pressure, and then he's onto that next shot, he's onto that
game
volley.
ball.
You see a perfect example right there. Sets him up for game point.
Yeah, and I think that counter was really effective because Shawn moved out quick enough that when he did hit that counter, he had to really reach in again. Instead of going back to the same pattern, which he has been doing, is like hitting length, length, length. From the front, he was able to counter, stop Shawn, and then really push him again. Nice.
$11-7, game to Sachvie.
And
Sachvie
it-
leads 1 game to love.
And Nick takes the first game. I mean, it was point for point most of the time, up until like maybe 8-7, something like that. Then Nick broke free. But it's I don't think Shawn's going to panic too much. I mean, he's so experienced that I think he'll just see this as he knows that Nick is maybe a little bit volatile as well. If he can get him under enough pressure, it's unlikely he's going to go through the whole of the match just playing just really focused squash as he did there.
Yeah. At the same time, though, Nick looks like I felt like he was in control of most of the rallies, and so he's looking pretty strong right now, in my opinion. But we'll see if what Shawn kind of does to change things up, or if he'll just kind of stick to his plan and just fine-tune everything, get his length better, and be a bit more patient there. He hit that error at the end, which was unnecessary. And
So I'll ask a fellow countryman from the other side of the country, right enough, which in even though Scotland's not many square miles, it's actually
Play
from
will
Oban to
resume in
Kirkcaldy feels a
60
long way. So,
seconds.
Mr. Kirkcaldy, what do you think?
It looks like Nick is imposing his character on this game. It doesn't seem like Shawn is fired up yet. I'm sure he'll come back into the match and we'll start to see some of the Delierre flair. But right now it looks like Sachvie is the one that's imposing his character on this game.
So I think that's a good observation, and that's what Nick can do very, very well.
Play will resume in 30 seconds.
This is what you get when you finish bronze medal. You get
15 seconds.
an amber medal. Okay, so Pierre Campo, we
Time.
will definitely try not to talk when the referee is giving
Sachvie
decisions.
leads 1 game to love.
So we only
Love
have
all.
4 comments so far, and already there's an internet argument. It's you just can't. It's unavoidable. So start of the second game. We'll see if Nick can keep on imposing, controlling the length, controlling into that front
Stroke.
corner, and then
Delierre.
looking for that next shot. We'll see if he can continue
out.
to
1 love.
impose his character in the game. But I've seen Shawn so many times, as everyone has. I've seen Shawn so many times. He just kind of picks his way through a game, you know, and he just slowly manages to kind of like attack, counter-attack, like build the pressure, get inside his opponent's head, you know, eventually force their opponent to dysfunction. I mean, he's a master at this.
Yeah, he is, and it's tough mentally when you have someone kind of slowly pick away at you, and you can recognize that it's starting to happen, but mentally it is fatiguing, and so then your decision making kind of goes down. And I think
Sorry, you caught your own racket, no let. Ball was available.
What are your thoughts on that
Wasn't
one?
that bad a shot either. No, you caught your racket in his leg. Your problem, not his.
I'm scared to comment while the referee's talking, in case Pierre starts giving us a hard time again.
Left box.
I think I like the way the referees are going now. I think it's just to put the emphasis upon the player to play the ball, or the player to get out of the way if they're deciding to play the attacking shot. I think it's better to have less lets and more strokes than no lets.
I agree. I think it's just having the consistency on what is what, because everyone can see all those calls subjectively. An error by Nick. Shawn's has a pretty good lead here. Probably the first momentum swing, apart from like the end of the last game that we've seen. The beginning of the last game was very point for point. But yeah, I think just having the consistency in the calls, and people know what to call for and what not to. But I do like the direction it's going in.
Yes, lad. Step away.
Well, that was an interesting one. That's usually a stroke or a no let, and then that was. I suppose there are let situations. Not quite. He's probably going to get the ball, not quite in a position to play the winning shot.
It depends how much the ball popped up or out. If it was short, then yeah, generally a no let, I'd say. The errors are creeping in. I think Nick just needs to kind of reset.
4-love.
Be a bit more patient, like Shawn's so good at, and because all he has to do is really move him. I think the longer the match goes, the better it is for Nick. I mean, not necessarily, but because Shawn's very good at pulling out 5 game wins. He had a 90-minute match against Cam Seth, but in the 5th game he was very decisive, and like that's where the experience comes in. But we'll see if Nick stops making some of those errors.
I mean, Nick has definitely he's putting some nice pressure in the front corners, but he is prone to errors, as we see there.
5-love. Yes, lad. 5-love, right box.
Shawn Delierre here in this second game, 1-love down, but managed to. He can play rhythmical, but he tends to operate probably as well as anyone without rhythm. He can play fast, he can play slow, he can hold it, and it really seems as though he's got a lot of time in the ball. Nick he's kind of hitting the ball up an awful lot, really not putting pressure into the back corners, and a little bit of pressure into the front, but also peppers some errors in. I think something has to change here for Nick if he's gonna challenge for the second game.
Yeah, I agree. He's I think the thing is his power game's so good, but now he's been starting to kind of float it a bit more, which he can be good at. But against Shawn, I think it's better to, really push the pace against him. Like we said, get him reaching, and that's where all of his like big points at the end of the last game came from. But if Shawn has time, like he just hit a perfect winner there. Kind of seems like he's a bit unstoppable
Left
right
box, 6 love.
I mean, it's just good quality. It's good quality play from Shawn right now. No mistakes. He's not forcing the pace. He's not really getting under pressure. It's an interesting situation for Nick because does he push now? Is it worth the push at 6 love down?
Well, I anticipate he will go for a winner off the serve. Or, well, he didn't, but I feel like if he plays smart, then he has a better chance. But if he kind of loses his head, then I feel like he'll start kind of.
Stroke to
All right,
Sachvie.
he's on the board.
Hand out.
But I feel like he could start trying to go for too much and be a bit impatient or frustrated. But I think he keeps his head, and
1-6.
he could pull back from this if he, gets rid of the errors and just improves the quality.
Two 6.
Well, could end up being a big point, that one.
First error we've seen from Shawn, kind of getting a bit too close to the ball and just like swinging down on it, whereas he'll like take a space and kind of push it back.
Oh, beautiful shot from Nick. Isn't it interesting? It's Shawn. He's not really
3-6.
not trying to force the pace at all. He's letting the ball come off the top of the bounds, like giving really trying to let Nick go down with his split step. And Nick operates on momentum an awful lot. Wants to go 100 miles an hour if he can, and Shawn's not really allowing him to do that. So it's even though Nick has got a good flurry of points here, is that Shawn still seems to be the controlling player.
Yeah, though it looks like
4
whenever
6.
Nick gets his creativity and starts kind of playing around on court, that's when he kind of does his best, even though sometimes it might open him up to a few, might open up the court a bit more. But when he starts kind of playing around and having fun out there, then he really excels. And like the last few rallies, he's kind of just relaxed and done what he
5
wants.
6.
Probably because at that point you're 6 love down. There's no pressure. You can kind of do what you want, and if you have to go to, if it becomes 1-1, then so what, right? But it seems like he's kind of refocused, relaxed, and Shawn's. There's a few errors in a row.
6 all.
Oh, from Shawn being very composed and not trying to rush the pace and not trying to force it. He's really trying to force the last couple of rallies, hitting a few mistakes. Looks as though he's trying to up the pace in this rally now, trying to get back into a little bit of a rhythm.
Yeah, really hard length there. Nick's athleticism kind of kept him in the play there, but yeah, he's put a bit more pace on the ball. Ooh, looked like it might have been a weird bounce first.
Yes, lad.
And rest
6
decision
all.
looked as
Left
though he had
box.
the line to the ball, and
Yeah, I would agree. I think he could have gone around and played that ball, but
professional let, right? On the tight balls, you call it.
yeah, exactly. Ooh, bad error, bad timing.
Hand out. 7 6.
Well, that point, a mistake from Nick breaks a streak of 6 points.
But the fact he came back after being 6-love down, I feel like he still has. Shawn has more of the pressure on him because you lose a lead like that, you're bound to tense up a little bit. Even though he's up 7-6 now, it always plays a role in the back of your mind when you lose a lead like that. Can it happen again? He's definitely making the court a lot bigger for Shawn right now, just controlling the tee, pushing him to all 4 corners over and over, and you can see it just like paid off.
Hand out.
If you can keep doing that, it'll be successful because Shawn.
7-all.
Best thing for Shawn to do is really contain Nick, and then he can go for his shots. But he definitely opened up the court, and then Nick was all over it, hunting the ball.
Yeah, the match has settled into kind of medium pace, which I would say ordinarily that would favour Shawn because he can use his holds and his variety, and Nick tends to want to force it. But Nick seems very comfortable with this pace, and he's probably more accurate and controlling the middle of the court better than Shawn right now.
Yeah, no, he
was
seems
clear enough.
He looks like he's become very comfortable and a lot more relaxed, and
7-all from the right.
I feel like now we've had a few more let calls. I feel like we'll just see a bit of an increase in those, break the play up a bit, try
Right
and
box, please.
shorten the rallies, maybe throw Nick off a little bit. We'll see. But that's my prediction.
Oh,
I saw it good.
Beautiful
Saw
play.
it good.
Beautiful play from Nick. I mean, it just again, we're talking just so comfortable with this kind of medium pace.
Left box.
You know, when he sees
Eight,
when he sees a
seven.
bit of space, then he's attacking into it, and it's like he's got a nice balance going right now.
Yeah, I think when he gets into a rhythm, he is really effective. I think what Shawn would need to do, which he was doing well at the beginning of the game, was really break up the flow, mixing it up a little bit more. Because once you get into like the same pace, I feel like Nick can really settle in, and he gets his legs going, he gets his body going. You're not starting as much, and Shawn's kind of fallen back into that kind of flow. Do you think there's any
Right
fatigue
box,
or physicality
9,
kind of
7.
coming into this game? Because Shawn had a huge lead, felt comfortable, and the errors have kind of started coming in. He's getting a little frustrated. Would you see that?
I don't know if it's physical fatigue. I mean,
Gentlemen, a little quicker between points, please. Otherwise, they'll have to issue conduct.
I mean, there is pressure. There is pressure. I mean, sometimes. I mean,
9-7.
that's the thing. I mean, sometimes slow pace or even medium pace is actually you can be a bit more accurate and with your shots use a bit more hold. You can end up putting more pressure on your opponent like that than if you're just very fast pace. So it is possible that Nick is
Down.
making Shawn do a
Hand
lot of
out.
work, but I think it's just more mental. When you're 6-love up and then your opponent pulls
8,
it back, there is this
9.
kind of you feel a lot of pressure, right? And it's if you are going to if you are a little bit tired, you're probably going to feel it a little bit more at that point, right?
Yeah.
So just a little bit of frustration. He's hitting tins from to quarter court. Feels like he has to force it. But it's impressive from Nick. I mean, it's for being the guy that tends to get very frustrated, and he just wants to keep on hitting it harder. Then he's actually been very patient, and he's measuring out his pace quite nicely and making the right choices. It's whether he keeps that up, I don't know, but it's impressive to see.
And he was able to let go of some of those errors because the first half of the game were pretty much his errors, and he was able to kind of fix that, not let it affect him, and regroup and still go for his shots instead of going into a defensive mode, which often happens.
Out.
Well, boys and
Hand
girls
out.
watching, we looked we at
10-8
6-love down. We
game
talked
ball.
about the possibility. Is it worth to really put in a lot of effort? And I think the answer is yes, it is. Never let it go, because now Nick finds himself at game point 10-8 to take a 2-love lead.
Yeah, and a 2-love lead in this situation, it's I feel like he'll even relax even more and just play because you can become a bit more comfortable with that sort of lead.
Hand out. 9-10, game ball.
It's nice. Nick has his family here, minus Lauren, but Chris and Cindy are here, and then Shawn has his fiance here, and kind of nice to have a whole support system, whole home crowd, and for both.
Yes, there. 9-10, game ball.
Well, it's interesting, the change in pressure again. I mean, Nick hit a mistake in the last rally, and and Shawn's kind of taken that rhythm away from him again here a bit. Is Nick, if Shawn keeps on hitting good length, is Nick going to keep on going for it? And then you take that risk, right? Is it at this point in game point, it probably is worth it. But if you hit the mistake, then it's going to be tough to win the game after that.
I definitely think it's worth it. It seems though in this rally, Nick's kind of started lifting it up again, which at the beginning of the game, that's what he was doing, and it wasn't working. So I think for him, it's better to stay a bit more aggressive and assertive, and really push Shawn
Out.
like he has been.
11-9, game to Sachvie. Sachvie leads 2 games to love.
Well, what an interesting game, really. Just changes in pace, changes in rhythm, and changes in score. Obviously, 6-love up for Shawn, and then Nick fighting back. I mean, just an incredible. Obviously Nick has the momentum now. Do you think Shawn can come back?
Right now, I'm going to say no. You have a 6-love lead, you lose it. It's tough to kind of come back mentally from that, and then.
And especially after 5 game against Cam Seth, and then a tough 4 game against Andrew Schnell yesterday.
Yeah, and I would say normally you can tell if Nick's getting frustrated and when things will break down because he's a bit more vocal and all that, and he seems very calm and collected, very focused. Shawn's kind of getting a little bit angrier, and that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing, but I think I'm feeling pretty confident that Nick will kind of run away with this one.
Well, I mean, certainly would be a popular winner here in Toronto, and as you said, you got Cindy here and Chris. I think Chris just won the A event. I think he just won. Yeah, so I think it would be a clean sweep by the
Play
Sachvie
will
family
resume
on the male
in
side if that
60
did happen.
seconds.
Yeah, and we'll just say, because Chris was saying yesterday, this is his first national title. He said he always wanted one, so congratulations, Chris.
Well, congratulations, yeah. Well, I hope I got that right, actually. I think he did, though. He gave me the thumbs up when he walked by, so I'm assuming that means he won.
If not, then you're just a terrible person.
But as you talked about earlier, just at the end of that game, was that the community. I mean, Shawn's got
Play will
his fiance
resume
here,
in 30 seconds.
I mean, just in general, the Canadian squash community is just. I mean, it's probably the best thing about squash in Canada.
Yeah, it's like such a great community. Everyone kind of knows each other, talks to each other. I've met so many people this week just from being in Toronto who I might not have normally met. It's very open. And,
15 seconds.
but I do feel like, support plays a huge role in success. Like last year, both Andrew and I were able to do really well in Calgary, and we had our whole support team there, crowd behind us. And here you see Sam. I mean, both of them are from Toronto, but yeah.
Time, players to court, please.
It is an extra added factor, I would say. And there's a good contingent from Montreal here, which is great to see. Like Yvonne, saw Jason. There's a bunch of others here, and it's kind of nice when
Sachvie
you have
leads
everyone
2 games
together.
to love.
And everyone ends up with a beer in their hand, even in the commentary box, apparently.
Love all.
This is my salary for doing this.
Squash Canada pays well. So here we go. Nick 2-love up. Shawn Delierre with a little bit of a B in his bonnet, having been 6-love up and looking as though he was unassailable in that second game. And just a frantic pace start of this third game.
Can we make it big again? I forgot to put my contact. I have them right now.
Yes, let. Love all.
Yeah, it's one thing that you saw the ball just clip the side wall just an inch above the floor. And I mean, one thing that I really try and impress upon all of you guys is hitting the floorboards in every straight shot. The straight drop, half kill, down length, any kind of length. I mean, it's that you want to hit the floorboards as much as possible. Keep it tight. But also in a situation like that, your opponent can't push you in and then possibly force a stroke. So I think.
Like I said before in the other match, it really does suck into the wall here. So if you do catch the floorboards and then the wall, it will stay there. It won't really pop out. Whereas if you do hit across it, it does come out. But you're rewarded for tight length. It really puts pressure on the other opponent, like Nick just did there.
I mean, that was a literally perfect example. Just hitting your length, getting your loose shot, punching in. That first volley, you're not necessarily looking to hit the winner there. You're looking to create that second opportunity where. You don't even have to go high risk to win the rally, right? And Nick just was a perfect example.
Not up, thank you. Hand out. 1, 2.
The last time Nick won was at this club 2 years ago. That was his first national title. Do you know when Shawn's was? No. He's had many.
Shawn's had numerous titles. Yeah, it was a big victory for Nick a couple of years ago, winning the title. It was really a great year he had that year. Won a couple of $10,000 PSA events. Was up 60 odd in the world, and looked as though he was going to. Really be a force to be reckoned with. And then he just had a couple of injuries last year. He just lost momentum a little bit. Just kind of, was trying to hit his way out of most matches, which tend not to happen. The level that he wanted to play at, it just wasn't. He wasn't able to do it. But he seems the last couple of months, he really seems to have, kind of gotten his mojo back and just being, as we see here, it's just his composure is way more impressive than it has been as it was last year, for example.
Yeah. No, very impressive, and he's definitely someone you want to see succeed and do well. Like, he's been on tour for a couple years, and his game's come along quite a lot. You just hope his body holds up and continues to hold up. But he's looking great today. A nice change of pace with the lob.
Yeah, if it was going to happen, then Nick would be a very popular winner. I mean, obviously,
4-1.
anyone that's over a certain age knows Mark Sachvie very well, and as many stories from knowing Mark, and Nick seems to have that sense of humor and that kind of cheekiness about him that Mark certainly had, and it's just incredibly popular. Both of these guys, incredibly nice, funny guys, but certainly Nick in Toronto will be a very popular winner.
5-1.
It looks like Nick's kind of found his groove in this game. He has a 5-1 lead. I mean, can't talk too early because he came back from 6-love last game. It could always happen the other way around, but he just looks very relaxed in his game. And Shawn looks like he's been a little bit less purposeful in his hitting as compared to the last 2 games. It looked like he had a bit more purpose, whereas now it's a bit more reactionary and random. It was a fun rally.
Not up.
I mean, random could be Shawn Delierre's middle name, right enough.
It could be the right thing to do. It just maybe randomness is what he needs.
Hand out. 2-5. Not sure. I'll let you know.
Well, that was just. I mean, it was a great shot to finish. It was a great choice, but it's
Hand out.
Nick he's continuing to control the pace. It's this medium pace control. He's controlling the middle of the court, like through the tee. I mean, it's an incredibly impressive play. It's just, but the concentration's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. And then the nice thing is it's like middle pace, kind of getting a flow, but then he's able to mix it up and hit like a perfect lob like that, and have the awareness.
7-2.
Mixed up at the right times and not do it prematurely.
Well, it's an emergency time for Shawn Delierre. And the emergency times calls for desperate measures like that, which a 3-wall boast into the Nick.
Hand out. 3-7. Hand out. 8-3.
Well, Nick can controlling still. It seems to be a relentless march towards that title.
Yeah, kind of a very different final compared to the women's one that we just saw, where I feel like a little bit less tension, but some good high pace, but Nick's just kind of looks like
9-3.
he's on a roll and is going to kind of run away with it.
And
10-3 championship ball.
And here we go, Nick Sachvie, championship point.
And out. 4-10 championship ball.
Is the referee going to say championship ball every time, all the way up to 10?
100%.
No let.
Yeah, to that comment you are.
5-10 championship ball. Out. 11-5, match to Sachvie.
That is Nick
3
Sachvie
games to love.
over Shawn Delierre, 3 games to love. Just
11-7,
incredible
11-9,
effort, concentration,
11-5.
stability, and just really great execution.
Yeah, very impressive squash. Wasn't really phased by the 6 love. Being down 6 love, which it can be really rattling. Just played really smart squash all the way through, minus that little mental break there, but he just quality.
It was a tough road to the final with a much improved Cam Seth in the quarterfinals, and then it was a tough match against Andrew Schnell, defending champion in the semi-finals. So Shawn maybe. I think he did have a lot in the tank, but I think he was just outplayed. I think Nick Sachvie he was just a very composed performance, and he's been leading towards this for a few months now. Some great results in PSA, and really deserves this national title.
I would agree, and it's such a great way to end the season. All of his hard work, and it's nice to see after a few injuries just finally coming back strong and playing well.
So Nick actually told me that he was almost thinking of pulling out of this event just the day before. I think he went down some stairs and twisted his knee, and he just wasn't too sure. He had to really, go see physio and ice and all the rest of it, and really came through. He made the decision to stay in it, and it's obviously a decision that paid off. It was just maybe he needed that distraction mentally just to kind of take him away from the pressure of the event.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's when you play your best, is when you have something kind of nagging at you, either if it's like your knee or your ankle, or you're feeling a little maybe sick, but then you really use your head and you refocus, and you don't get caught up with all the other stuff. You just have to focus on playing smart squash, and which he did.
So Nick Sachvie, national champion 2018, and Sam Cornett, national champion 2019. So Danielle Letourneau, thank you very much for your words of wisdom, and good luck in Manchester within the British Open to finish off your season. And so 2 more events, and so good luck. I'm sure everyone in Canada is going to wish you good luck. Thank you.